Okay, and it's going live right now. Okay, well, thank you everyone for being here. I'm going to quickly just introduce myself for those of you who don't know me, but I'm Christy with Legacy Transactions. We are a transaction coordination business, and we have Amy Lonsway of Old Republic Home Warranty. She is going to be leading our class and just giving us all the ins and outs of home warranty and just helping us educate us so that way we can better educate our agents and their buyers. So Amy, I will let you take it away.
Okay, so I'm Amy Lonsway with Old Republic Home Protection. I have been in the home warranty industry for 9 years now, and with Old Republic for 8 years with a previous company. So I have a lot of experience, and my mom was actually in home warranty before me. And at one time she was my competitor. So I really do have a lot of home warranty experience. But yeah, I guess we can go ahead and start going into the questions. I know that you had some questions for me, and then I had some other things that were kind of written down that I typically get asked for.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so for everybody on the call, I put together about 6 different questions that I thought are some things that buyers want to know, as well as agents want to know. But if you have any questions for Amy, definitely please ask them. And then if one of us is speaking, you can just put them in the chat, and then we can address those questions. And if anybody's watching on Facebook Live, you can put that in the comments as well, and then we'll answer those questions as well. So I know one of the big questions that we always get asked, what are the major items in the house that the home warranty covers, and what are the stipulations? So such as your AC, your electrical, plumbing, roof, those are the major components of a house that could be the most costly. So what do you think?
Yeah, so easy to remember peach, right? So plumbing, electrical, appliance, cooling, and heating. Okay, so that's when you talk about major systems and appliances, that's kind of what we talk about, just easy to remember, peach. We also cover things such as like washers, dryers, refrigerator, pool spa, septic well, water softeners, booster pumps, and then also roofs. Some do, some don't. Key thing when you talk about roofs is you really need to look at it because it says limited roof leak repair, right? So not all companies are going to have this, and it's an optional coverage, but it's very specific in what it covers. And I highly recommend everyone that if it's something that you want to get, actually open up the brochure for the home warranty and read, because it's very specific in what it's saying. So what it's not going to do, and what people tend to think of, is replace the entire roof, right? That's really not what it's there to do. It's just kind of there to say, hey, there's a spot, rainwater's coming through, it's in the main dwelling over the living space. That's really where the home warranty comes in for that, but it's not going to be, hey, I have an old roof, it needs to be replaced. That's actually, the coverage is not going to apply to that. So just kind of keep that in mind. When it says limited, it means that it's limited. So as far as anything else, as far as plumbing and electrical and appliances, kind of the same thing. Home warranty in their brochures are going to tell you what's covered, what's not covered, and if there's any limits associated to it. Easiest way to look at it as, well, it's going to cover a lot, it's not going to cover everything. So just kind of keep that in mind with home warranties. So AC coverage, while it's going to cover AC, heating, plumbing, and electrical, there are going to be some items that are excluded. It's kind of to be aware of that, and each home warranty company kind of has some different things on that. So it's just read the brochure. It's the easiest way to do that.
Would you say that one of those things that's usually stipulated is like Freon? I know I've seen some home warranties will like add extra Freon to an AC unit, some don't. And then a while back there was like the brand of Freon that was being used was no longer out there or not being used or something. I just remember there was an issue with that.
Right. So a lot of home warranty companies will cover Freon, but then there's some that don't, or certain plans will only cover up to. So that's, again, one of those things that's a great question to ask when you're looking for home warranties is, do they cover refrigerant and, vice versa. So Freon, as you know, or R22 is just the brand. or the type of refrigerant. It's not actually just refrigerant. It's just the name, another name for it. Right now, what they're using is the 410A, which is also kind of known as Puron. So it's just refrigerant. Freon is the type of refrigerant. Yeah, they are doing away with it. So if you have an older system, that's where you're going to see Freon, is for those older systems. Anything newer, you're going to see more of the new refrigerant, such as Puron. But some home warranty companies aren't going to pay for refrigerant or for Freon unless you add the coverage or you have a higher plan. So that is definitely something to look for, or they limit the cost of it. Old Republic does not. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. It's going away, but there are things to kind of help fix that. And home warranties have been aware for a really long time about that. So I do have a flyer on Freon or refrigerant in the whole process. If you guys want it, just email me and I will give you all the information regarding that, as far as how Old Republic specifically handles that, if you need it.
Yeah, that would be great, just in case somebody runs into that issue.
Right.
What questions should buyers be asking when they are looking for a home warranty?
Okay, so Freon, obviously, right? Are they going to cover it? Or are you not going to cover it? Refrigerant, do you cover it? Do you not cover it? What plans? Different things like that. But what I've really encountered recently is where people get swept in a company that says that they're going to discount the coverage, give 2 months free, and then like roof leak coverage or something free. And it sounds like a really, really good idea, right? Because you're like, oh my gosh, you're going to discount the warranty, you're going to add 2 months, and you're going to give this for free. Well, like, sounds too good to be true, right? So they offer all of that stuff, but then when you read the terms and conditions and go in it, they're going to be like, yeah, but we said we're going to cover this, but we're going to request 3 years of maintenance. And if you don't have it, then we're only going to cover up to $150 for the repair or replacement. Wow. So you really need to think about, you know, is that discount really worth it? Because in the long run, you're paying more out-of-pocket expenses, right? So really what you need to be aware of is what's covered, what's not covered, and what the limits are. And you really need to go with a company that is transparent and has it in their brochures. That's really what you need to look for when it comes to the home warranty. Coverages between the home warranties are just kind of going to be like, one's going to cover this one really, really well, this one maybe not so much, and then vice versa. So there's really coverage that you need to look at what's best for you, and then to talk to your rep and then look through the brochures, because it's going to give you all the information. And of course, go with the company that's going to tell you all that information as well. Also, don't fall for the, I've looked them up online and this site has them rated #1. Be very, very careful of that, just because as we all know, that's kind of pay to play with some of those websites, right? So just kind of be leery of that. Also, when reading reviews, just kind of just keep in the knowledge that they're very one-sided. I know that me as a home warranty rep I've sometimes read our reviews or competitors' reviews, and I can look at those and know almost immediately that the homeowner didn't understand their coverage. So just kind of be aware of that. Kind of keep that in mind, I guess, when you're looking at that. Don't always take what you read online as the end all be all. Make sure, and if you are, make sure it's a reputable site, that they're actually getting reviews from homeowners and they're not being paid for those reviews. So just kind of keep that in mind.
Makes sense. I know you said that, and you kind of touched on this just a minute ago about, you said that a lot of home warranties are very similar with like the product that they provide. But what makes Old Republic stand out aside from the competition?
So I think it's in our slogan, right? People helping people. We know the difference between company policy and customer service. And I think that's really, really important at the end of the day when you're looking for a really good company. And when you're looking for a really good rep to use, is who's going to understand the difference between the company policy and customer service. And you want to go with a company that's obviously people helping people. And that's what we do.
Yeah, oh, which is important. I mean, I know you from many, many years back now in real estate, and the home warranty that I had was originally where you were at before, but you were always so helpful. Anytime I had an issue with my home, I was able to call you and say, hey, this is what's going on, and you were able to guide me. So that was really, really helpful. And I'm sure that's exactly how it is, like you're saying, over at Old Republic now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Same type of thing. Yep.
So I know a lot of home warranties will offer seller's coverage. I'm not sure if that's something that Old Republic does or not. But can you explain that a little bit? What does that mean, and what the cost is?
Yeah, so seller's coverage is really just listing coverage. But I think, let me start off with this first. If someone is offering you coverage because a seller currently has it as a real estate agent, I would pass that information on to your buyer, because I really do think that that is in your client's best interest to continue on with coverage, right? So seller's coverage is really, it's effective the day that it's ordered, continues until the expiration of the initial listing period, up to 180 days, close of sale or termination of listing, kind of whichever one comes first. But keep in mind that seller's coverage is not a standalone product, meaning it has to be ordered with the buyer coverage. So at any point, if it's determined that the buyer is not going to continue with with Old Republic home protection coverage, or some other person's coverage, just kind of know that technically it should be canceled. And I know what you're probably thinking, because I hear it all the time, is what if the buyer decides to go with another company, since it is buyer's choice. The thing to think about it is, like, we understand that, but we only are offering that seller's coverage as an option as long as you're going to be willing to buy that company's buyer coverage. So it's kind of one of those things that we're basically offering seller's coverage as an option to you, since you're going to be offering our buyer's coverage. That's really the way to think about it. The coverage is really to protect the seller should a system or appliance fail due to normal wear and use during the listing period. But it's really not meant to cover items found on the inspection report. And I hear that a lot from agents, that they'll be like, oh, it's going to cover things on the inspection report. And no, that's not what it's for. It's for, like, 2 weeks before closing, all of a sudden the microwave breaks. It's really for that type of instance when it comes across. That's what seller's coverage is. And of course, seller's coverage, again, kind of differs a little bit between the home warranty companies. So as an agent, if that is something that you are going to be offering to your listings, definitely sit down with that home warranty rep and go over it, so that everybody kind of is aware of how it works, what the process is, all of that. So really just take the time to understand the coverage with the particular company that you're going to use.
And is that something that Old Republic does have the option?
We do.
Okay.
We do. So any agents out there, especially now when homes are sitting a little bit longer than they were last year, definitely let's sit down, have a conversation about listing coverage, see if it's right for you, see how it works, that sort of thing. So definitely let's do that.
And does how much is a seller's coverage if the buyer chooses to go with a different home warranty company for their home warranty?
So remember, if they decide to go with a different company, that seller's coverage is canceled, but seller's coverage is $75.
Okay, so the seller would need to pay the $75 for having the seller's coverage if the buyer went with a different home warranty company, right? My understanding.
It's regardless. So seller's coverage thing is an option, right? So that option is $75 to be able to add it to the listing on top of covering it for the buyer's coverage.
I got it. Okay. Okay. And then what about getting a payout on a repair? Like is that something all home warranties offer? And why not should the buyer do that?
So some companies offer it, and Old Republic is one of those companies. So payment in lieu of repair is recommended really for people who want things done faster, have a way to get it done cheaper, or if they wanted something better or upgraded. So I'll go a little bit deep dive into that. So for the people who want things done faster, home warranties are a process, right? As you know, you've had one, it's a process.
Right.
And sometimes can take a while, but remember, we're here to help save money, not fix it quick. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding between that. We're not an emergency company, we're just here to help save you money. So if you don't have the patience to wait, then asking for payment in lieu of repair might be the way to go for you, as long as you understand that the amount that we pay out is going to be our actual cost. So it could be less than retail. We have negotiated rates, which is how we're able to operate. So just kind of keep that in mind, that you might think, oh, I'm going to get all this money if I do the payment in lieu, but it's actually going to be what we would pay. So kind of, keep that in mind if that's something that you want to look at. So for those that have a way to get the work done cheaper, these are mostly for people who have friends or family members who are tradesmen, right? I had one whose husband was HVAC tech, right? He could do the work. So they asked for the payment in lieu because basically, hey, we can get it at cost as well. So, and then of course your husband's going to do it. So there's no labor cost in that or anything else associated with it. So for those types of people, that's, a good option. Now, for those who want better or upgraded, so let's say you have a dishwasher, right, that has like a high decibel, right? So meaning it's loud, and you want a new fancy one that's maybe quieter or low decibel. That would be an option for people to maybe, hey, I don't want what the home warranty is offering. I want to go with, my old one was loud. The home warranty is only going to give me similar features of what I had before. Maybe I want to get one that's got a low decibel. Then that's when you would ask for the payment in lieu, so you could go get what you want, basically.
Okay. And does it affect your account in any kind of negative way by getting the payout?
No, the only time that it'll affect it is if you don't show us that proof of repair has been done. Because if you don't show us that, then we don't know that it's been done and we won't cover anything. So as long as you send us, hey, I didn't go for your dishwasher, I went and got my own, here's proof that I went and got it.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that we can continue to cover it. So
I know one nice thing, or at least I think whenever you have the same home warranty on the home years and years and years, you are keeping all the service records, right? So anything that y'all come out and do. So if that seller went to sell a home, could they possibly get those records from y'all as just, I don't know that they would do that, but.
No, they wouldn't really have records. The only thing that they would have is when, like the technician was out and gave them paperwork and said, here's what was done. That would be the only thing that they would really have. Now, as far as if they transfer the home warranty to the next homeowner, that is going to stay with the house, not the homeowner. So that history of the house is going to continue on.
Gotcha. So if let's say they had an issue with the AC 2 years ago, and now there's another issue, they would have the history for that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely. So they'll have all that on file with the home warranty.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then for agents, whenever they are writing a contract, what do you recommend that they're putting in there for the requested home warranty amount?
So the way that I try to explain to people is, you as a real estate agent are going to know what is in the house and kind of what your client is looking for, right? Because you're the one that's negotiating all of these things. Good rule of thumb is the higher the plan, the less out-of-pocket expenses, right? So when you're looking at trying to put a number in, you kind of have to know, okay, are we going to try to negotiate for their washer, dryer, kitchen, refrigerator? Are my clients already going to purchase one? They don't need to have coverage for it. Those types of things. Is there pool spa? Is there not pool spa? Is there septic? Is there well? So when you look at that, the easiest thing that I can tell agents is to call me and ask and let me know what's in the property so I can give you a quote to put in while you're writing out that contract. Or you could simply go to our website and log in for a quote as well. And it'll email it to you and give you what all the options are, and you can select your coverages from there. But it's really going to depend on what's in the property. If it's just a regular, 5,000 square foot home, or under 5,000 square foot home, single family, no washer dryer, no pool spa, good rule of thumb is maybe just shoot for the middle. If you're like really needing something quick, but again, I do recommend reaching out to your rep, or at least looking at the back of the brochure or going online and getting a quote. That way your client is fully covered and not just left with, oh, there's only $600 in the contract, but we have septic, we have well, and then there's pool spa. And then you're missing out on, maybe adding those coverages or having your buyer make up the difference for that.
Right.
It's there's really no good, here's a perfect amount. It's just one of those, each property is going to be different, and you just kind of have to know what the property is.
Right.
That's why I'm here now.
Awesome. Well, that's all the questions that I had written down, but I know you had some other things that that you were going to go through. And does anyone else have any specific questions right now? It looks like Allison said at the end, could you please, oh, okay. Oh, would you mind repeating what PEACH stands for?
Yes. So PEACH is going to stand for plumbing, electrical, appliances, cooling, and heating.
And that's basically pretty much what all plans should cover, or that's what we really want to be making sure all plans cover?
So all plans are going to cover that. Again, the lower the plan, the more out-of-pocket expenses, the higher the plan. So each plan is going to build upon itself. So when you're looking at the standard coverage, it's going to cover a lot, but it's going to have a lot of exclusions. And when I try to explain to agents is, look, the standard plan is a great coverage, right? But the most times that I hear back on feedback, people are unhappy with the standard plan. So my recommendation is always to go to like the middle tier or the high tier, never the standard plan, because people are just unhappy because there are a lot of exclusions with that plan. So standard is going to cover, PEACH, plumbing, electrical, appliances, cooling, heating. Next plan up is going to throw in a lot of things that were excluded. And then next plan is going to throw in more items that were excluded or more coverages. Just means less out-of-pocket expenses. It's kind of, all the plans are going to cover it. It's just the higher the one, the less out-of-pocket expenses.
What I tend to see is with the basic plan, usually like a washer, dryer, and refrigerator are not covered. And then they'll put the next plan and they may be, or it might be on the final. But is there a price difference too, as far as like maybe the basic plan, middle plan, and the high tier plan all cover, let's say something with the plumbing, but let's say you only had the basic plan. Do those basic plans have like a lower dollar amount that the home warranty will pay towards it versus like the premier plan might have, let's say they'll pay $1,000 towards it versus basic 500 towards it?
Yeah, it's going to depend. Like the highest plan will throw in additional limits to some items within plumbing. But with plumbing, it's like it encompasses a lot of items, right? So it can be like within the water heater, it could be like the plumbing faucets, things like that. So the standard is going to cover your typical plumbing, right? Ultimate, which is our next plan up, is now going to throw in like some toilet replacements and faucets and different things like that. So it's not right there. It's not really dollar limits, but it's more things that were excluded under the standard. And then when you get to the platinum, which is our highest plan, it starts to add that, and then it starts to add some other things. So dollar limits could go up a little bit depending on the certain type of coverage. So that's also kind of keep in mind about that. Mm-hmm.
Did anybody else have any other questions right now?
When does the plan go into effect? Is it immediately after closing, the day of closing, or the?
So it's effective on the closing date.
Okay.
And then if you're a current homeowner that maybe you've had your house for 3 years and now you want a home warranty, that's going to be a 30-day wait from the time that we receive payment. So, because a lot of times people get confused and say, oh, I thought there was a 30-day wait. And there is, but that's typically only on a current homeowner or somebody who's not going through a real estate transaction or escrow.
That's a good question.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Not yet. Okay.
We were talking a little bit about the washer dryer and then the refrigerator. You mentioned some of it in the plans. A lot of questions I get asked too is if it's going to be covered if they convey or if they don't convey over, right? So the answer is yes, but you have to have the coverage for it. The only time that I don't recommend it is if you're going to buy it brand new, right? Because a manufacturer warranty is already going to have one. So something to keep in mind, yes, if you're bringing your own, and yes, if they're going to be with the purchase of the sale, they'll be covered with the coverage.
Got it. Okay. Okay. That's good to know too. Yeah. I never even really kind of thought about like, if it wasn't something that was left in the house, would it be covered?
Right. The next question I get is best time to order. And that's really going to be, I guess, up to you. I typically like once it's out of option between a week before closing. And the reason why is because sometimes homeowners really want to look over the coverage and kind of understand it. And once they're out of option period, there's kind of a lull sometimes. And when you're in that lull, that's a great time for them to be looking that information up versus you're a week from closing and then you're trying to get all these documents in.
Right.
And then they're like, what do you mean a home warranty? Ooh, what's that? So I like it once it's out of option period to kind of let me go over the home warranty. And that's actually my preferred method is let me go over the home warranty. I don't expect everyone to be experts in it because it is a lot of information. And of course, I don't want you guys to get stuck on something that, oh, my real estate agent said this, and then have you guys be wrong about some things. So
Right.
I would just prefer of, hey, let's call Amy. Let's ask her. She's going to give you information about the home warranty. That's the easiest for me.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's great. And thank you for being willing to do that. I know my team and we have a series of steps that we take care of after, like right after the option period is over. And one of them is to send that email to the buyers saying, hey, your contract says you're going to get this towards a home warranty. Here are some options. And then we put in the body of the email, the home warranty reps, phone numbers and emails and names. That way they can reach out to them. But we also started letting them know like, hey, please don't look at the websites because the websites show one coverage, whereas the brochures with a real estate transaction, it's probably similar coverage, but it's usually different names. Is that how it is for Old Republic, or is it exactly the same on the website?
It's the same.
Okay, well, that's helpful because I know some of the other ones, it's the website, I think is more geared towards homeowners, like people who have owned the home a year or 2 years. Instead of going through a real estate transaction.
I think where they're messing up on that portion is they go to the portion and they see homeowners and they're not seeing the real estate side. So if they're going to the website, they need to be careful that they actually go through the realtor real estate side so that they can actually see what's there for them, because there are some companies out there that have a direct to consumer product and then one for strictly real estate side. So they're probably looking at the homeowner, the direct to consumer side, and not looking at, hey, I'm going through a real estate transaction. I need to look at the real estate side. So that's where they're getting a little bit confused about that.
Okay, awesome.
And then one other thing that I get with people about, if you're ever going to know anything when it comes to home warranties, and it's actually in our brochure, and it's almost to the very last page, but it's the ABCs of coverage. If you ever want to know anything on home warranties, this right here kind of explains it all. Very easy to understand. And I actually refer to this a lot. So if anybody ever asks something about, oh, what's it going to do, or what are the rules or anything like that, it's the ABCs of coverage. It's like right there, real easy for you to read. Working properly. I had this question asked to me the other day by a real estate agent, and I think it was a great question because I feel like sometimes people they go through this in their brain mentally about it and then maybe didn't think it all the way through. But she mentioned, she says, let's say that there's a dishwasher and it's working properly, but when you use it, it leaks. And I was like, if it's leaking, it's not working properly, right? But how many times have people been like, oh, but it felt cool when I walked into the house, but it's working. But how the home warranty sees it is that a normal function for the dishwasher to leak when it's operating, right? So working properly really means working properly according to the manufacturer. So I think that's something that's kind of people tend to overlook or maybe not understand. For the home warranty is visually was anything wrong with it? Mechanically, was there anything wrong with it? There's two kind of rules between that. Visually, is there anything wrong? Mechanically, is there anything wrong? So that's how home warranties are kind of going to define working properly.
Okay.
So just keep that in mind. And then of course, not all home warranty companies are created equal. There are some really, really great companies out there, and there are some companies that aren't great. I'll just say it like that. I think it's really important to get to know your home warranty reps. And when they ask you to sit down and talk about it, it's just because they want to get to know you on a level that can make everything business-wise go perfect for you and help your business. So I think it's really important. It's don't just kind of throw us under the rug when we want to like reach out to you. We want to get to know you, understand your business, and figure out a way to help you get more clients and reduce your risk. We're not an emergency company, just to save you money company. I think there's a lot, I know I said it earlier, but there's a lot of misunderstandings between what a home warranty is and what it actually does. And I like to remind agents that home warranties got started because of real estate agents. So if you don't like us, you're to blame. About that. Really, but that is how home warranties got started, is because of real estate agents wanting to reduce their risk and limit their liability and protect their commissions. So that's how we got started back in the 70s. So
can I ask a question in regards to the emergency? So
yes.
like you said, you're not an emergency company, you're a home warranty company. Let's say it's 100 degrees outside and somebody's AC does go out in the middle of summer, and maybe it's a weekend and they have to get somebody out there ASAP, and the home warranty company is not going to be able to have their tech come out quick enough. Should that person go ahead and have the AC company come out, and then do they submit that invoice or no? Okay.
No, but that is a great question. I'll go into it a little bit. Just remember, home warranty is not a reimbursement company. So if you go outside of the home warranty is not going to basically say, all right, send me the invoice and then pay you whatever. Because remember, there's negotiated rates and there's a process between the home warranty. Now, in certain types of situations where it is, 100 degrees and it's, a weekend, and, maybe there's, one AC in all the house, there are certain things that a home warranty does to help those homeowners faster, right? But just keep in mind that it's not an emergency company. And most home warranty companies in their brochures will state, in cases of emergency, here's kind of the rules to follow. Just don't, I guess, go out, get it done, and then tell the home warranty, oh, but it was an emergency, because they have systems in place to kind of help that. But kind of at the end of the day, with home warranty companies, because not all companies will let you do that. I'll just stay it right then and there. just because it's an emergency company, some companies won't let you do it. Old Republic is very good about understanding what's an emergency, and they do have systems in place. In their brochure, there's a section that says in emergencies, here are the rules. So, or call your rep and ask and say, hey, we've got this going on, what do I do? The important thing is to make sure you always call into home warranty company first for anything, right? So even if it's an emergency, I know home warranties are kind of like the last on the list, but at least if we call something in and we know what's going on, it's very easy to go, okay, this is an emergency, we know it's an emergency, you know, do we release the call? Can we find somebody to come quick? There are systems in place. So just kind of keep that in mind versus going, hey, I went ahead and got it done. It was an emergency. Here's, can you pay me back? No, the home warranty is not going to do it. So,
Okay.
right.
Okay, Jim had a question. He said, how do you get your clients past the moniker? I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Of the home of a home warranty does not cover anything. I have one right now that I'm trying to explain. Let me reread this real quick.
Okay. Is it in the chat?
It is in the chat.
Okay. Okay. So let me start off with that first question, because I hear it a lot of, oh, home warranties don't cover everything, or they're not worth the paper that they were written on. The thing that people need to understand is home warranties aren't going to cover everything, and there are certain stipulations between the home warranty. And more often than not, when people complain about the home warranty, from what I've seen, is because they have the standard plan or the lowest basic plan. And then they're not happy because there's a lot of exclusions. So while it's hard, what I have to explain to people is like, look, we're just here to help give you some money. So while it not be the amount of money that you think it should be, just remember that we tell you what's covered and what's not covered. If you go with the lowest plan and expect, you know, for the home warranty company to cover everything, a lot more things, it's not going to happen. So it's hard to get past that. But that's when I come in and then I kind of explain it and say, look, this is what's going on. I understand that you have this, you know, misconception about this, but home warranties are truly there to help save you money, and they're not going to cover everything. And I think once I kind of explain that, then it's easier to go through it. But I don't expect real estate agents, I don't expect you guys to go through that and have to explain it. It's very easy for me to do it with a homeowner one-on-one versus you having to explain it, right? Because I'm going to know more of the coverage and give them examples and things like that. So don't worry about you guys specifically having to do that. Just let that fall back on my plate, because it's easier for me to explain to a homeowner to get them to understand. And then what was the second part of that? I have one right now that I'm trying to explain that they have changed and are trying to be more competitive. Okay, bad experiences in the past. That's one thing too, where I like to talk with the homeowner and kind of go over their past experiences. Because again, home warranties, there's a lot of people involved, right? And mistakes do happen. So I don't want to sit here and say, oh, mistakes never happen. Sometimes they do. It could be an error on the inside. It could be, you know, we send a vendor out and, you know, out of the 1,000 other calls that they've, you know, ran, this one particular call, you know, they had a bad experience, or maybe it was a new tech and there was a bad experience. So I like to explain that again to the homeowners myself versus you guys having to do it, because I like to understand what their bad experiences are so I can go through it with them and kind of direct them on, you know, was it truly a bad experience, or was it just a misunderstanding of the coverage? But great question.
I am going to add Amy's contact in here in the chat, and then I will do that on in the comments on Facebook as well. And then do you want me to post the brochure in the comments on Facebook as well? I think
yeah, if you could, that'd be perfect.
Okay. Yes. And Amy, another question. So I know you're primarily up here in like the Woodlands Spring area, but do you do you work with agents all over Houston? Or what if we even have agents that are outside of Houston?
So we have reps all over Texas. So, and each of us has our own territory with offices within Bryan, College Station, Huntsville, Spring, a little bit of Houston, have a little like 2 zip codes in Cypress, Conroe, Montgomery, Magnolia, Tomball, Pinehurst, all the way up to Bryan, College Station. All the real estate offices and agents within that territory, that's who I cover. And then you have Mary Buckner, which does Humboldt, Livingston, Houston down all the way to Beaumont, Orange, and I don't know about Orange, Beaumont. And then I know Southeast Houston as well. And then you have Tammy Rose, who is Central Galleria, Houston area. And then you have Melanie Bowles. She just started with us, and she is like Katy, Cypress, those areas, Brenham, and all down. And then if there ever is a time where you don't know who the rep is, you can always ask me or go to our website and type in your agent's office zip code, and it'll pull up exactly who the rep is.
Oh, okay.
For that area.
That's,
but we're pretty good about, if like you were to send me something and I know it's like I can look at it and be like, oh, that's not my agent, I'm still going to send it in for them to order. So don't let that hold back. But
great.
if it is somebody else, will say, oh, that's so and so's agent. So
and if for us, is there a like best practices just to always know who the reps are? Because I know sometimes reps change or leave the companies, and then we don't know who the new rep is. And I see agents post in like our Market Center Facebook page all the time, like, hey, who's the rep for such and such company?
Yeah, and it's okay if you're not sure and you just put anybody's rep's name down, because if they were to contact us, we could be like, oh, thank you for reaching out, let me give you the rep who's actually for your territory. I don't mind doing that as well if you're unsure, but I think it is kind of important to know who the rep is, especially if, like, as an agent. Hopefully you do know who your rep is. They've been contacting you and thanking you for the business. But I do think it's important to know who the rep is, because anytime that there's an issue with the home warranty, you want to get in contact with that specific person, because they're going to be the best ones to help you for that particular agent or territory or anything like that. So I do think it is important to know who those people are, have their contact information, things like that.
Okay, sounds good. Did you have any other topics that you wanted to go over, or does anybody else have any other questions? And I didn't see any questions.
I do have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you offer a rekey service, and how soon can the buyers do that? Because I know you said the plan starts technically the day of closing.
Mhm.
And I don't know specifically with Old Republic, but I know buyers have sometimes called like that day or the next day, and the home warranty company 800 number is like, well, we haven't received payment from the title company, so we don't know if we can even do anything for you.
Right. So home warranty companies, it's hard because they have to pay, remember? So if, and we do, and it has happened where somebody's called me saying, oh, I have a plan with you, but then it actually turned out that it was, they thought it was me, but it was with, last minute, they decided to go with a different company. So home warranties need to be very careful to make sure, okay, we see a plan, but in the end, is it actually going to go to us? So if it were the case of that, and they're trying to call in something that day and they get that, oh, we haven't received payment yet, that's when you call me, and then I get with the title company and get the information of, okay, yes, it was sent to us, this is how much it was paid, this is the check number, and this is when it was sent out. So that way we can release the call. But rekey is in all of our plans. So they just need to call in. Now, as far as how soon it can be, it depends on the vendor and how fast they can get out there to do the rekey.
Okay.
Yeah. And then it just kind of, rekey just kind of, I guess, depends, because payment could be like 2 weeks out or 3 weeks out. So it's snail mail. It's how it comes. But if they do come to that point where they do get at, that stop, immediately reach out to your rep
Okay,
so that they can help.
Perfect. Yeah, that's a good question, Liz.
thanks.
Anything else?
I do have one thing because we were talking about that a little bit. A lot of times people ask, oh, I never got anything at the closing table. When am I going to get my information? They're going to get it as soon as we receive payment. And it can come by email or it can come by the USPS snail mail. One thing that I do have, and if you are interested in, is a writable or fillable certificate. So that way you can actually print it off to them so that they have something at the closing table that says, this is what you have, this is what your plan number, this is your coverage, and this is the effective date. That way it's not just a piece of paper that the title company printed out for them, it's an actual like certificate and looks official. So if you want that, let me know. It's just, like I said, you can use it over and over again because it is a fillable one. But that is one thing that I always hear is I didn't get anything, and when will I get something?
Okay. That's good to know. If you want to, yeah, if you want to send that over to us, we can save it for when we have home warranty orders.
It's just nice to have at the closing table so that they know that they have something.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Any other questions? If you think of anything else, you have my contact information. You can always ask.
Yes, and I didn't see any comments in the Facebook Live, but if anybody leaves anything in there, I guess we can always just reply back in the comments.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, thank you so much for all your knowledge and information, and it's just so helpful. I know it's helpful for agents and also just helpful for the buyers.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you guys look amazing. So don't feel like you need to explain what the home warranty is. Please reach out to me. I don't recommend having the buyer themselves reach out to me without at least me knowing. And the reason being is because they think that I'm automatically supposed to know that they're calling, what property they have, who their agent is, and how much the warranty is. So if somebody's gonna call, give me a heads up, because then they're like, well, I don't know what my property is, or I don't know how much the sellers are providing. So it's just easier if I'm kind of in the loop, so that like make an introduction for us, or at least say, hey, I have somebody, they might be calling, this is what it's about. That way I kind of know what's going on versus like me picking up the phone and then going, yeah, my agent said to call you. And then it's like a pause.
That makes sense.
Right?
Yeah.
So
okay.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. I really appreciate you just taking the time to share your wealth of knowledge. And like you said, you've been in the industry for a long time now, so you've seen it all.
I have, and I still see new things every day.
Right. Allison, did you have something?
No, I'm good. Thank you. It was great.
My pleasure. All right. Well, thank y'all so much for joining us. And I hope you all have a fantastic week.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.